The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as a silent sentinel on the edge of the desert. It is a monument that defies easy explanation. For thousands of years, it has cast a long shadow over our understanding of the past. We are told a simple story about its origins, a tale of a powerful king and a grand tomb. But is that all there is? The pyramid seems to possess a memory of a much older, much more sophisticated world. It challenges our modern assumptions about the capabilities of ancient peoples. It forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about the very timeline of human civilization, pushing us to consider possibilities that mainstream history has long dismissed or ignored. This colossal structure is more than just a pile of stones. It is a masterpiece of engineering and mathematics. Its alignment to true north is astonishingly precise, more accurate than many modern buildings. The sheer scale of the undertaking is difficult to comprehend. Millions of massive blocks were quarried, transported, and lifted into place with a skill that we still struggle to fully understand. This was not the work of a primitive society. It was the work of masters, of people who possessed a deep and profound knowledge. A knowledge that seems to have vanished from the world, leaving behind only this enigmatic structure as its final testament. As we stand before this ancient wonder today, on January 28, 2026, we are connected to a mystery that has captivated humanity for millennia. The pyramid speaks to us across the ages. It does not offer simple answers. Instead, it presents a profound riddle etched in stone. It asks us to look beyond the accepted narrative, to question the story we have been told. It invites us on a journey of discovery, a quest to uncover a forgotten chapter of the human story. The questions it raises are fundamental to who we are and where we come from. We must have the courage to follow where the evidence leads, even if it takes us to uncomfortable and unexpected conclusions. The mystery of the Great Pyramid is not simply about how it was built, it is about why. What purpose could justify such an immense expenditure of effort and resources? The conventional answer, that it was merely a tomb for a pharaoh, seems wholly inadequate when faced with the structure's complexity and precision. It feels like we are being offered a child's explanation for a work of profound genius. We must dig deeper, peel back the layers of dogma and assumption that have accumulated over the centuries. Somewhere within its hidden chambers and precise alignments, the Great Pyramid holds a secret waiting to be rediscovered. The story sanctioned by mainstream Egyptology is straightforward and widely taught. We are told the Great Pyramid was constructed during the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom. The timeline places its construction around the year 2560 BC. This massive undertaking is attributed to the pharaoh Khufu, known to the ancient Greeks as Cheops. He ruled Egypt for a period of about 23 years, and according to this narrative, he dedicated the vast majority of his kingdom's resources to building his eternal resting place. The pyramid is presented as the ultimate expression of a king's power and his divine status in the afterlife, a stairway to the heavens for his soul. This narrative situates the pyramid within a specific context. It is seen as the peak of a pyramid building tradition that began with earlier, less complex structures like the step pyramid of Giza. Archaeologists point to a progression of techniques, suggesting a learning curve that culminated in the perfection of Giza. The location itself, the Giza Plateau, became a sacred necropolis, a city of the dead for the ruling elite. Khufu's pyramid was the centerpiece, later joined by the smaller pyramids of his successors, Khafra and Menkaure. The entire complex, with its temples, causeways, and satellite tombs, is presented as a unified funerary landscape dedicated to the cult of the dead kings. The workforce, according to this view, consisted of tens of thousands of skilled Egyptian laborers. They were not slaves, as popular myth once suggested. but paid workers who were conscripted for a portion of the year, particularly during the Nile's annual inundation, when farming was impossible. They were housed in a purpose-built city near the plateau, where they were fed, cared for, and organized into efficient crews. Archaeologists have uncovered the remains of this city, providing evidence of bakeries, fish processing facilities, and dormitories. This discovery is held up as definitive proof that the pyramid was a purely Egyptian project, built by its own people for their own king. In essence, the official story closes the book on any deep mystery. The pyramid is a tomb. It was built by Khufu. It was constructed over a 20-year period by Egyptian workers using simple tools and immense manpower. Any questions about its precision or advanced features are explained away as the result of brilliant project management and generations of accumulated experience. This neat and tidy explanation serves to reinforce our current understanding of history, where civilization progresses in a simple, linear fashion. But it leaves many of the pyramid's most perplexing features completely unexplained, forcing us to ask if this simple story is the whole truth. The central pillar of the orthodox explanation is that the Great Pyramid served as the tomb for Pharaoh Khufu. The entire internal structure seems designed to protect the king's final resting place. We see a series of passages and chambers, seemingly intended to thwart grave robbers. A long ascending corridor leads to the so-called Queen's Chamber and then up the magnificent Grand Gallery. At the very heart of the pyramid lies the King's Chamber, a stark, granite-lined room. Within this chamber sits a large, lidless coffer, which we are told is the sarcophagus of Khufu. This is presented as the ultimate destination, the reason for the pyramid's existence. However, a significant problem plagues this theory. No body has ever been found. When the Caliph Al-Ma'mun forced his way into the pyramid in 820 AD, he found the king's chamber empty. The granite coffer was vacant. There were no signs of the lavish grave goods that are the hallmark of other pharaonic burials, like the one discovered in Tutankhamun's tomb. Apologists for the tomb theory claim that the pyramid was thoroughly looted in antiquity. They suggest that robbers overcame the massive granite plugs and complex internal layout to strip the chamber of its treasures, leaving behind only the empty stone box they could not move. This explanation seems convenient, but it raises difficult questions. The coffer itself is larger than the entrance to the chamber, meaning it must have been placed there as the pyramid was being built around it. It is crudely finished, unlike the finely polished walls of the chamber itself. Furthermore, it bears no inscriptions. Royal sarcophagi in ancient Egypt were almost always intricately decorated with hieroglyphs and religious texts. The stark, anonymous nature of this granite box is deeply uncharacteristic of a pharaoh's final coffin. It seems more like a piece of equipment than a sacred burial container for a god-king. Moreover, the entire tomb seems remarkably unsuitable for a royal burial of the period. There is no decoration on the walls of any of the internal chambers or passages. This is in stark contrast to other Egyptian tombs, which are covered in vibrant paintings and hieroglyphic texts detailing the deceased's journey to the afterlife. The Great Pyramid is utterly, eerily blank. To accept the tomb theory, we must believe that Khufu, the most powerful king of his age, commissioned the largest and most complex building on earth for his burial, only to leave it completely undecorated and his sarcophagus uninscribed. This anomaly is too great to ignore. Beyond the confines of mainstream archaeology, a radical and fascinating theory has gained traction. This idea proposes that the Great Pyramid was not a tomb at all, but a highly sophisticated machine. It was a functional device, a type of geothermal power plant designed to harness the subtle energies of the Earth. Proponents of this theory, such as the engineer Christopher Dunn, argue that the pyramid's design features are better explained by physics and engineering than by religion and burial customs. The structure's materials, dimensions, and internal layout are seen as components of a functioning system, not as symbolic architecture. According to this hypothesis, the pyramid was designed to convert tectonic vibrations from the Earth into microwave energy. The chambers and passages acted as resonant cavities and waveguides. The specific type of granite used in the king's chamber, rich in quartz crystal, is noted for its piezoelectric properties, meaning it can create an electric charge when subjected to mechanical stress. The theory suggests that the pyramid was intentionally built on a spot that would channel the planet's natural vibrations, causing the entire structure to resonate like a massive tuning fork. This energy was then focused and converted within the king's chamber. The so-called air shafts that lead from the king's and queen's chambers are reinterpreted in this model. They are not for ventilation, as they were sealed at both ends. Instead, they are seen as waveguides, precisely aimed to channel energy. The hydrogen gas that would have been generated by a chemical reaction in the chambers below would have filled the Grand Gallery and King's Chamber, creating the perfect medium for a microwave massa. The Grand Gallery, with its corbelled walls and resonant design, is seen as a sound resonator, amplifying the energy before it reached the final chamber. While this theory is dismissed by Egyptologists as pure speculation, it offers compelling explanations for many of the pyramid's anomalies. It explains the lack of a body and treasure, the strange acoustic properties of the chambers, the choice of specific building materials, and the precision engineering that seems far beyond what would be needed for a simple tomb. The power plant hypothesis forces us to consider the possibility that the ancient builders possessed a form of science and technology that is lost to us. It suggests that the pyramid is not a monument to death, but a testament to a lost understanding of physics and the energies of the living planet. Another profound mystery of the Giza Plateau lies not on the ground but in the sky. When we look at the layout of the three main pyramids, those of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, we see something remarkable. They are not aligned in a straight line. The third and smallest pyramid, Menkaure's, is slightly offset from the diagonal line formed by the other two. For years, this was seen as a simple quirk of planning. But in the 1980s, researcher Robert Bauval proposed a stunning explanation. The layout of the three Giza pyramids is a perfect terrestrial map of the three stars in Orion's belt. The correlation is, honestly, breathtakingly precise. The size of the pyramids corresponds to the brightness of the stars. The slight offset of the third pyramid perfectly mirrors the offset of the third star in the belt, Al-Nitak. But the theory goes even deeper. The ancient Egyptians associated the constellation of Orion with their god of rebirth and the afterlife, Osiris. The stars were seen as the celestial destination for the souls of the departed pharaohs. The Giza Plateau, therefore, was not just a necropolis. It was a sacred landscape designed to be an image of the heavens on earth, a place where the junction between the terrestrial and the celestial could be made manifest. This correlation also has a temporal dimension. Due to a phenomenon known as the precession of the equinoxes, the constellations slowly shift their position in the sky over a cycle of roughly 25,920 years. The Orion correlation theory proposes that the layout of the pyramids on the ground marks a specific moment in this grand celestial cycle. The moment when the alignment between the pyramids and the stars in the belt was at its most perfect, at the lowest point of their journey across the southern meridian, was around the year 10,500 BC. This date is more than 8,000 years before the supposed construction of the pyramids. This chronological anomaly is the theory's most challenging aspect. It suggests that the plan for the Giza complex, if not the pyramids themselves, originates from a much earlier, lost epoch of history. It implies the existence of a highly advanced civilization that possessed a deep knowledge of astronomy and precession thousands of years before the rise of dynastic Egypt. The pyramids in this view are a legacy, a message encoded in architecture and aligned with the stars, pointing back to a forgotten golden age. They are a monument not to Khufu, but to a lost chapter of human history, a time when our ancestors knew how to map the heavens onto the earth. When we seek to understand the Great Pyramid, it seems logical to ask what the ancient Egyptians themselves said about it. The problem is, they were remarkably silent on the matter of its construction. The vast corpus of hieroglyphic texts recovered from the Old Kingdom, the era when the pyramid was supposedly built, contains no mention of its planning or erection. There are no blueprints, no construction records, no celebratory texts praising Khufu for this incredible achievement. For a society that meticulously documented so much of its history, religion, and daily life, this silence is deafening and deeply suspicious. The first historical account that attributes the pyramid to Khufu, or Cheops, comes from the Greek historian Herodotus, who visited Egypt around 450 BC. This was more than 2,000 years after the pyramid was supposedly built. Herodotus gathered his information from local priests and guides. He recounted tales of a tyrannical King Cheops who enslaved his people for decades to build his vain monument. While his account is vivid, it is second-hand information received millennia after the fact. It is historical hearsay, not a contemporary record, and much of what he reported has been proven inaccurate by modern archaeology. Later Egyptian sources, such as the Westcar Papyrus, written during the Middle Kingdom, mention Khufu in magical tales, but not in connection with building the pyramid. The only piece of direct physical evidence linking Khufu to the structure is a few crude markings of his name, painted in red ochre on stones in the relieving chambers above the king's chamber. These are not formal inscriptions, but simple quarry marks, found in an inaccessible part of the structure never meant to be seen. Some researchers have even questioned their authenticity, suggesting they may have been forged in the 19th century to bolster the tomb theory. So we are left with a void. The people who supposedly built the pyramid left no record of it. The first written connection to Khufu appears 2 millennia later. And the only physical link is a set of crude, hidden markings of questionable origin. This lack of contemporary evidence is a gaping hole in the official narrative. It forces us to consider that the dynastic Egyptians, including Khufu, did not build the pyramid at all. Perhaps they found it already standing, an ancient and incomprehensible relic from a forgotten past. Perhaps they revered it, utilized it, and even attempted to claim it as their own, but its true origin was a mystery even to them. Among the many alternative theories surrounding the Great Pyramid, one has persisted for centuries, connecting the structure to a famous biblical story. This theory proposes that the pyramids were not tombs, but immense granaries. Specifically, they were the granaries built by the Hebrew patriarch Joseph during his time as vizier of Egypt. According to the Book of Genesis, Joseph interpreted the pharaoh's dream of 7 fat cows and 7 lean cows, predicting 7 years of bountiful harvest, followed by 7 years of devastating famine. He advised the pharaoh to store vast quantities of grain during the plentiful years to save the nation during the drought. This idea gained popularity in the Middle Ages among European travelers to Egypt. Faced with these enormous, mysterious structures, they sought an explanation within the framework of the Bible, which was their primary historical text. The sheer size of the pyramids seemed to fit the scale of a project designed to feed an entire kingdom and even surrounding lands. The Greek geographer Strabo, writing in the 1st century BC, mentioned a stone at the entrance to one of the pyramids which could be removed, suggesting a functional purpose. This was interpreted by some as a hatch for loading and unloading grain supplies. The internal structure of the Great Pyramid, however, makes this theory highly improbable from a practical standpoint. The narrow, ascending passages and small isolated chambers are completely unsuitable for storing and distributing vast quantities of grain. A functional granary would require large, easily accessible storage bays and a system for moving grain in and out efficiently. The pyramid's interior is the exact opposite of this. The chambers represent only a tiny fraction of the pyramid's total volume, the rest being solid masonry. To use it as a granary would be an incredibly inefficient use of space and effort. Despite being thoroughly debunked by modern archaeology and a simple analysis of the pyramid's design, the granary theory persists in some circles. It speaks to a deep human need to connect great mysteries to familiar stories. It represents an attempt to make sense of the incomprehensible by fitting it into a known narrative. While the theory itself does not hold up to scrutiny, its persistence highlights the pyramid's power to inspire speculation and to become a canvas upon which different cultures and generations project their own beliefs and understanding of the past. It is a testament to the structure's enduring ability to defy any single simple explanation. When we move beyond the question of why and focus on the how, the mystery of the Great Pyramid only deepens. The level of craftsmanship and precision exhibited in its construction is simply staggering, and in many cases appears to be impossible with the tools and techniques attributed to the Old Kingdom Egyptians. We are told that the builders used simple copper chisels, stone hammers, and rudimentary measuring tools. Yet the evidence on the ground tells a very different story, one of a technology that seems far more advanced than we are led to believe. Consider the massive granite blocks that form the King's Chamber. These blocks, some weighing up to 70 tons, were quarried in Aswan, over 500 miles to the south. They were then transported, lifted hundreds of feet into the air, and set into place with hairline precision. But even more astonishing is how they were cut. Examination of the granite coffer and other artifacts from the site reveals evidence of high-speed drilling. Petrologists have found spiral grooves that indicate a drill bit was penetrating the hard granite at a rate that is hundreds of times faster than what could be achieved with simple hand tools. This suggests a form of mechanical, powered drilling. The precision of the casing stones that once covered the pyramid is another impossibility. These fine white limestone blocks were cut and fitted with an accuracy of 1/50th of an inch. The mortar used in the joints was incredibly fine and strong, bonding the stones together almost seamlessly. The entire structure, covering over 13 acres, was leveled to within a fraction of an inch. Furthermore, the four sides of the pyramid are aligned to the cardinal points of the compass with an accuracy that was not surpassed until the 19th century. How could a civilization without a compass, a telescope, or advanced surveying equipment achieve such a feat? The official explanation, that this was all achieved through sheer manpower, patience, and simple tools, strains credulity to the breaking point. It asks us to believe that Bronze Age workers, using copper saws and stone pounders, could cut through granite with the speed and precision of modern machinery. It asks us to accept that they could align a massive structure to true north more accurately than the architects of the Paris Observatory without the benefit of advanced astronomical instruments. The evidence etched into the very stones of the pyramid suggests a profound technological disparity. The builders of the pyramid were not primitive, they were masters of a lost science. The Great Pyramid of Giza is not simply an old building. It is a question posed to all of humanity, a riddle that has remained unsolved for thousands of years. We have explored the official story, which presents it as a tomb for the pharaoh Khufu. This theory, while neat and widely accepted, crumbles under the weight of anomalies. The lack of a body, the absence of inscriptions, and the uncharacteristic starkness of its design. It fails to account for the structure's most profound features, offering simple explanations for for what appears to be a work of unparalleled genius. The story simply does not fit the evidence. We have delved into alternative possibilities that, while unconventional, offer more compelling answers to the pyramid's puzzles. The power plant hypothesis explains its engineering and material choices as functional components of a machine. The Orion correlation theory decodes its layout as a celestial map, pointing to a far more ancient origin around 10,500 BC. These theories challenge the very foundations of our accepted historical timeline. They suggest that what we see at Giza is not the beginning of a civilization, but perhaps the end of one, a message left behind by a forgotten, highly advanced predecessor culture. The pyramid's construction itself stands as a monumental challenge to our understanding of the past. The impossible precision, the evidence of advanced machining techniques, and the perfect astronomical alignments speak of a level of knowledge that should not have existed in the Bronze Age. The stones themselves cry out, telling us a story of a lost science, a forgotten technology. The deafening silence in the historical record of the Egyptians themselves only adds to the suspicion that they were inheritors, not originators, of this incredible wonder. They were the caretakers of a legacy they may not have fully understood. Ultimately, the Great Pyramid remains the world's greatest unsolved mystery. It is a message in stone, an inheritance of knowledge from a distant time. It challenges us to be humble about our own place in history and to open our minds to the possibility that our past is far more complex and mysterious than we have been taught. As of today, January the 28th, 2026, the riddle endures. The pyramid stands as it has for millennia, waiting for a generation with the courage to read the message it has preserved for us. A fingerprint of God's, a testament to a lost chapter in the epic story of humanity.